Oh, I see. Come hither.
All right.
Yeah.
No.
All right. We've got it. Good morning, everyone. We are so pleased to be here with all of you. I want to give a special thanks to our special guest, Max Richmond, from the President and CEO of National Committee to Protect Social Security and Medicare. Rich Couture, President of AFGE, Council 215, working for all our Social Security federal workers who are in there doing their jobs. And then Mass Senior Action. Thank you for showing up. And we'll be hearing from Karen Lynch in a few minutes. Our state senator, Jason Lewis, and our state representative, Paul Donato. Thank you all for being here. And thank you for turning out and joining us for Democrats' nationwide Day of Action. Just like we saw a week ago, people are rising up, they're speaking out, they're mobilizing, and today across the country, they are coming together with one very clear message: hands off Social Security. We are witnessing the most brazen theft in American history, and the crime scene is right behind me and in Social Security offices around the country. The perpetrators are Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and the Republican Party. And the victim is every single American who works hard, earns their paycheck, contributes to Social Security, and expects the dignity of a decent retirement. And that includes 120,000 people in Massachusetts' 5th Congressional District who receive Social Security benefits. And again, we want to mention the other victims here are federal workers who are being laid off for no reason, for no problem with their job performance. The whole object is cruelty. So here's the plan from the Republicans, and it's pretty straightforward. Step one, you defund Social Security. From the jump, Trump and Elon started closing field offices, shutting down phone lines, laying off staff, and crashing the website. Now seniors are waiting on the phone for 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours. And often there is no close by office for them to go to. And they're often given a ticket and saying, you'll have to come back another day after making that drive and waiting hours to check on their benefits. So that's step one. Step two is give that money to billionaires. Funnel it all in the form of tax cuts and contracts. And step three, when Social Security crumbles under all those budget cuts and people miss their benefits, you privatize it. Sell it piece by piece to the highest bidder until suddenly retirement is a luxury. And without Social Security, let's be clear, 1 out of 3 Americans would end their lives in poverty. That's what Social Security means. And yet the Republican Party wants to sell it for parts. Why? Why would you possibly do this to tens of millions of Americans, to people who voted for you to be in office? It's because the whole game is to reward a handful of ultra-rich donors who keep them in office. Everything they do every single day comes down to corruption and greed. It's all part of the same project. Help the rich get richer at the expense of everyone else, and at the expense of a woman that I met in Melrose named Susan. Susan reached out to our office recently. After 4 decades of paying into Social Security, She finally retired last year. She was confident the benefits that she had earned would be there for her. And then she watched as the Republican administration and party started coming for her money, her retirement, her quality of life. And her biggest concern today is not about herself, but about what this means for the very nature of our country. Here is her call to action. Do not let these evil villains destroy our precious democracy so they can pay fewer taxes and keep the rest of us down in a permanent underclass, unhealthy, uneducated, and powerless. So what do we say to Susan? We are not going to let that happen. The American people are showing the billionaire class that we are not powerless. We are fighting back. Democrats, seniors, Massachusetts. There are more of us than there are of them, and we are going to win together. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being in this fight. And please welcome someone who has been on the front lines of this resistance, the president and CEO of the National Committee to Protect Social Security and Medicare, Max Richmond. Thank you, Max.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman. Thank you for inviting me to this event up here. I'm Max Richmond, the president of the Committee to Preserve Social Security and Medicare. We were founded in 1982 by a former congressman from California by the name of James Roosevelt. And he had retired from Congress, and he wanted to preserve and protect what he felt was his father's greatest legacy, and his father was President Roosevelt. And we've been doing just that and continue to do that since 1982. So last month, I don't know how many of you watched the President's address to the joint session of Congress. Who watched it? I know you watched it. I watched it. And while I was watching it, I got a text from a friend of mine. And the text said, the movie, The Wizard of Oz, is 86 years old. This is in the text. If Dorothy were to encounter a group of people today with no brains, no heart, no courage, she wouldn't be in Oz. She would be at a White House meeting of congressional Republicans. I'm not sure about the no brains part, but I'm darn sure about the no heart and no courage part. And we've seen that time and time again. How else can you explain at that joint session of Congress all those Republicans, MAGA Republicans, cheering, applauding, lie after lie after lie, including a lot of lies about Social Security? Social Security beneficiaries are 100 years old. People that are 200, 300 years old are getting Social Security benefits. That was a lie. And it's just as bad as lies that Elon Musk has been talking about, calling Social Security a Ponzi scheme. Really? Social Security is going to be 90 years old on August 14th. Everybody that's participated has received their monthly check on time, in full, for the last 90 years. He's repeating something Donald Trump has said in the past, that it's a scam, a Ponzi scheme. Really, a Ponzi scheme that's paying everybody for 90 years? That's not how a Ponzi scheme works. So what's happening here? Congresswoman, you are exactly right in all those steps you talked about. This is a plan to undermine the support that Social Security has among the American people. All the polling, all the surveys for years shows that 80, 90% of Democrats, Republicans, independents support Social Security, support expanding Social Security and improving it. So what's happening here is an effort to soften that support over time. These lies are part of all the lies we've heard for years, that there's no money there, the money was stolen, It's an entitlement. It's not. It's an earned benefit. Members of Congress don't pay Social Security. They do pay Social Security. Lots of lies built upon lies. And the purpose, as the Congresswoman said, is to set the people up to be disappointed, disillusioned. I just walked into that room. There must be 60 people waiting. And they probably had an appointment, tried to get an appointment a month ago to get in there. Cutting the program, reducing the staff by 7,000, 8,000 people when 10,000 people become eligible for Social Security every day. So we're going to cut the staff, close the offices, make it harder for people to file for benefits, make it harder for people to get information. And the last step, as the Congresswoman said, then we'll cut it, cut the program, cut the benefits, privatize it, cut the cost of living adjustment. That's the plan. And we need to stop that. I'm committed, and our organization is committed to doing just that. And I know the Congresswoman is. And I thank you for your support. I checked your record, your voting record with us. Every Congress, she's been a member of Congress, 100% voting record. It doesn't get any better than that. So thank you all very much. And now I'm going to introduce, if I can pronounce his name, Rich Katherine. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, thanks. My name is Rich Katherine. Not everybody gets the pronunciation of my last name right the first time, so you're good. I still mispronounce it. So I'm president of AFG Council 215, which represents hearings and appeals employees nationwide at Social Security. I'm also spokesperson for our general committee, which represents all 40,000 SSA workers nationwide, including the hardworking employees in this field office right behind us. So I want to take the baton from my brother here and continue to talk to you about how your service and the public support of our program is being undermined right at this very moment. DOGE does not stand for government efficiency. It stands for the destroyers of government effectiveness. Yeah. And how that's being done right now, as has been mentioned by the Congresswoman, is that they are cutting workers, they are laying off workers, they are firing workers for no reason whatsoever, in order to drive up wait times, in order to drive up processing delays, in order to create the business case that they need in order to shut it all down, in order to privatize it. And I want to talk about efficiency. When we were at our high water mark in fiscal year 2010, before the Budget Control Act and sequestration and all that fun stuff, our annual operating costs were only 1.2% of annual outlays. What I mean by that is our administrative costs, real estate, staffing, et cetera, was only 1.2% of all the benefits we paid out in that year. You can't find a private insurance company that operates that efficiently. Their overhead costs are all north of 10 or 20%. Before the cuts we started seeing recently, however, we were serving 73 million people with 57,000 workers. That was last year. Compared to 2010, that high watermark, we were serving 60 million people with 67,000 workers. So we were backsliding already. Despite all that, we were finding ways to be more productive, to improve service despite the funding obstacles that were put before us. But I want to talk about the moves that are going on right now and how inefficient they are. The administration has promised they're not going to touch your Social Security benefits. Elon Musk has promised we're not going to touch your Social Security benefits. He's even said once he's done doing his work, you're going to get more money. I don't know how that works. I don't think that was in Schoolhouse Rock, Congresswoman. I don't think he can just do that. So this agency and this administration has offered buyouts to field office workers, including employees like the ones working behind us, to leave. They paid out $50 million to have SSA workers stop working for you. Your money paid them to stop working. And so where this gets worse is about 2,500 employees took that buyout. 2,000 of those are field office workers, the people that see the public every day of the week. So this is their bright idea. We're going to push these folks out the door that takes months to train up and years to become proficient and productive. And then we're going to backfill them with employees from the Boston regional office and other regional offices around the country and headquarters who've never worked a day in a field office. And we're going to now have to train them for months and get them up to speed over the course of years to do the work that was already being done by trained, proficient, productive field office workers already. And add insult to injury, we're going to have to take more field office workers off production to train and mentor those employees. Does that sound efficient to you? No. Does that sound effective to you? No, it's not. And now let's talk about offices. Now, they started this year. Elon Musk told the General Services Administration, which oversees the federal government's real estate, their leases, we got to get rid of 7,500 office leases all over the country. Social Security has 1,400 of those leases. 1,400. They went and they put almost 50 offices up on their webpage, bragging about all these office leases they terminated, and come to find out, most of them were lies. They've backtracked based on public pressure from all of you, from Capitol Hill, from our allies on Capitol Hill. They've cut that list in half, and now they've said, well, these are all satellite hearing offices. These aren't field offices. And that's true to a point. They say we're not going to close any field offices this year, and that's true to a point. But their draft reorganization plan makes very clear what they're going to do next year. That is when they're going to start closing these offices. That's when they're going to start consolidating these spaces. That's when, based on all the workers that they're losing, they're going to say, we have to consolidate because there's not enough folks to justify keeping this office open. That's all part of their plan. I want to make one thing abundantly clear to everybody. Not only did you pay for the benefits you received with every FICA contribution that came out of every paycheck, you paid for access to those benefits, whether it's over the phone, the 800 number, or coming into an office like the one behind us. If you can't access your benefits, that's a benefit cut, plain and simple. And that's what this is all about. So we need your help to stand up, protect Social Security workers, protect your Social Security benefits. Thank you. And next, we have Karen Lynch from Mass Senior Action.
Hi, my name is Karen Lynch. I'm fortunate enough to be the first vice president of the statewide Mass Senior Action Council. We were founded in 1981 as a grassroots, member-led organization of seniors committed to social justice. We come together to strengthen our voices with collective power in the fight for equity and justice in aging. I turned 80 this year. I never dreamt that this time I would have to stand up and convince those in charge that cutting Social Security is really, really a bad idea. I never thought I would have to explain how crucial Social Security is to our community and how just the rumor of cuts sends seniors, disabled people, and surviving children into a panic state. Social Security has been lifting seniors, people with disabilities, and survivor children out of poverty for nearly 90 years. It is the benefits we have earned and represents a contract between generations. Trump and his billionaire friends are trying to destroy our security and deny us our hard-earned benefits. Personnel cuts, program changes are all creating hardships. Many of our members have reported holding up to 3 hours on the phone to speak to somebody when they call Social Security. Others cannot make an appointment, so it's for weeks or months ahead. And the offices indicate we no longer take walk-in appointments. These services cuts equal benefit cuts. They delay access and hurt people. More than 1.2 million people in Massachusetts rely on Social Security with an average monthly benefit of $2,000. That may not sound like a lot, but it is the only income for many people. Payment delays and other problems quickly become a crisis when you can't pay the rent or buy groceries. There is no widespread fraud in the Social Security system. The only fraud I see is from Trump and his friends who claim they won't cut Social Security while they continue to cut Social Security. The only harm is to the hardworking people of this nation who will face hardship as they try to access the benefits they earn. I listened to the promises of no cuts to the programs we depend on, but I'm here today to warn of other ways cuts can hit us. When rules are changed to block people from receiving benefits owed to them, that is a cut. When a person is forced to go into an office that is hours away without transportation access, that is a cut. When you reduce the workforce to a skeleton crew, that is a cut. We will not accept these cuts to our benefits. We will not accept cuts to the Social Security Administration. Together we demand hands off our Social Security. Thank you. Senator Lewis.
And now we'll be joined by our state senator, Jason Lewis.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. I'm privileged to hold the seat in the state senate that was once held by Congresswoman Clark, and couldn't be prouder to be represented in Congress by somebody like Katherine, who courageously and relentlessly and tirelessly stands up and fights for our values and for the people of Massachusetts. So thank you, Congresswoman Clark. And thank you to Mass Senior Action. I've also had the pleasure to work with Mass Senior Action on the Medicare Savings Plan expansion, right? We got that done in Massachusetts, because when Mass Senior Action puts the group to work, we see results. You know, here in Massachusetts, back in 2022, the voters of Massachusetts approved something known as the Fair Share Amendment, also known as the Millionaire's Tax. And that was an effort to ask the wealthiest households in the state, those earning more than $1 million a year, to pay just a little bit more in order to help support the needs of all the people of the state when it comes to education and transportation. And as a result of the passage of the Fair Share Amendment, we've been able to provide universal free school meals for all of our K-12 students. We've been able to now provide access to free community college for all of our young people. We've been able to expand access to high-quality, affordable childcare and early education for all of our people. We've been able to make desperately needed improvements in public transportation, and now we see the Orange Line is actually running without speed zones. So that's the direction that we've taken here in Massachusetts, because those are our values, and we believe in helping every person. What are the values we're seeing out of Donald Trump and Elon Musk and the Republicans in Congress? Exactly the opposite, right? What they're trying to do is trying to cut taxes for the wealthiest in this country and for large corporations, and they're trying to pay for that on the backs of working people and low-income folks by cutting Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. And that is just patently immoral. There's millions of people here in Massachusetts, not just seniors, but people with disabilities, lower-income folks, working families, and all across the country who rely upon Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. And access to health care in particular should be a basic human right. Nobody should have to wake up and wonder, are they or a loved one going to have access to the care that they need? So we are on the right side of history here. So thank you, Congresswoman Clark. We're going to have your back and the rest of our wonderful congressional delegation. And we're going to join Mass Senior Action. And there's so many allies that we have, from Governor Healy to Attorney General Campbell to my colleagues in the state legislature and so many others. We're going to join you in this fight. We're going to do everything we can to prevent the Republicans and Donald Trump from carrying out these horrendous and obscene plans. So thank you, everybody. And now it's my pleasure to introduce a wonderful colleague in the state legislature who's in this fight with us together, Representative Paul Donato.
Thank you, Congresswoman. You've always been in the forefront of helping those who need it the most. And Senior Action, you make sure that we know that the things have to be done, and you're in the forefront of doing that. For those of us who are on Social Security, we have a message to Donald Trump. We paid into this system, and all we're getting want now is to get the money that we paid in back again. And we want you to take your hands off and make it so that those of us who are interested in living in dignity have that opportunity. There are so many throughout the country who rely on Social Security as their only source of income and live in poverty. And you want to take that away from them. You want to make it so that the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And that's the wrong approach with regard to this issue. An issue that hits most of the seniors, all of the seniors. You were born in 1936 when President Roosevelt started the Social Security program, and you're going to be here in 1996 when you're going to make sure that in that year, 60 years later, you say, I want my Social Security money and I want it back now. And this is an important issue for all of us to take into consideration. And we will make sure, those of us who support the Congresswoman and her allies, those of us in the state government are going to make sure that in 100 years from now, Social Security will still be here to take care of the seniors who desperately need it and deserve it because it's their money and they put the money into there. Thank you for that input.
That concludes our program. Once again, thank you for being in this fight. Together we will win this. Thank you for being here.